my good friend. Haven't seen him in a while. Corey Lewandowski in New Hampshire. Hey, Corey, great to have you with us.
Hey, John, how are you today?
Good, good. You're looking good. Hey, sorry about the Red Sox. Fired your manager. Probably should have signed Bregman back. So we'll get to politics in a minute. But they did win the other night. So they got a new manager. And the Bruins won. And now I don't know. Now they get back home. Are they going to get beat at home again? I don't see it.
Look, John, not only do they fire the manager at the Red Sox, they fired the whole coaching staff, which, by the way, is, I thought I actually had a chance at the job. If there's any job in America I could have, I'd love to be the manager of the Boston Red Sox. Like, how great would that be, to be honest with you, right? And I love Jason Veritek. He's been a great Red Sox family member for a long, long time. Too bad to see him go. But, right after they fired those guys, the Sox put 17 points on the board, 17-1 against the brutal, Orioles, the most runs they've scored since 1974. So, look, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. It's a long season. You know how baseball is. It's a grind. So look, we'll see how they do. The Celtics are playing well. The Bruins are playing well. It's always a good time to be a Boston sports fan.
I don't see how the Bruins are going to get beat. I mean, they went to Buffalo, and I bet the Sabres. I thought you lose two games at home, you're done, and they looked horrible. And the fourth game, the Sabres like crushed them. It was like 7-0, and I turned the thing off, or 6-0, and then they go to Buffalo and they beat them in overtime or something. So they come home. They're not going to lose another game at the Garden. Then it goes seven, and then it's hockey, 7 games. Who knows?
You never know. And listen, the Celtics have been playing well. The Bruins, look, home court advantage is huge. The Bruins have to win at home. That's what it is. When you go on the road, that's when you get paid to play. You get paid the big bucks to go and win in the opponent's stadium, in the opponent's turf. So the Bruins have to deliver at home first before they go and carry on.
All right. We'll see what happens. We're not going to talk about the Astros, the disastros. Last place, everybody's injured. It's just a catastrophe. Let's get on to politics and the incredible news yesterday that I feel like I'm the only guy in the country covering this. This ruling by SCOTUS 6-3 gutted Section 2.0 of the Civil Rights Act. All these maps that have gerrymandered, racially inspired districts in the minority majority, they're all now unconstitutional. But what the Supreme Court did is they didn't make this a federal mandate. They left it up to each individual state. So now the Republican governors in these states, all they have to do is call a special section, redo these maps. There's nowhere for the Democrats to go. They can't sue anybody because it's a Supreme Court ruling. So we can pick up 40 seats. What's the holdup, Corey Lewandowski?
John, this is a historic ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court. That doesn't mean the Democrats aren't going to challenge new maps. They will. But the fact that the Supreme Court has already litigated this will just mean that this will get kicked down from the lower courts and say, hey, you have no standing. But what's really happening now, John, and let's take Louisiana as an example. There's a House primary coming up there very soon. They have had to always have a historical black district in New Orleans proper because of the Rights Act. Now, Governor Jeff Landry from Louisiana is thinking about calling a special session to redo those maps, as all of these governors are, and for good reason. This notion that you have to have a historical Democrat, meaning African American or minority district, is now out the window. And what we should do is have the best representation from everybody, regardless of your race, religion, ethnicity, or creed. So if we can draw congressional maps, and maybe what we can do is have some equity or fairness in this, we can have the right people in Congress. Because what we saw last week, John, just a week ago, and one day in Virginia was a tragedy. Now that the Supreme Court has ruled, it gives us an opportunity to have fair and safe redistricting that will benefit everybody.
How many seats could we pick up if all the governors acted?
Well, look, John, I know we've got a lot of Republican governors out there. Some are weaker than others. Let's just be very clear, right? We have an opportunity here to actually save the midterms if they want to act quickly. The midterms are right around the corner. We've got these congressionals, as you know, some of these primaries are right around the corner, literally next Tuesday in a number of states. Ohio, you've got Texas right around the corner. So if we're going to do this, it has to be an emergency issue, an emergency stay, and that means we'd have to have these governors act quickly. I think there are governors, without beating up on Mike DeWine and others who are leaving, who have no interest in actually doing this under a special session right now. So we'd have to look to those governors that have backbone and wherewithal to do this and say, listen, the Supreme Court has ruled. We now have an opportunity to go and actually have better representation, meaning not determined solely based on the color of your skin.
Okay, so let's go through them. Let's start with Florida. That's done. DeSantis already did that. He's already got it passed. So, but he did those maps before this ruling. So, could there be another seat that he could pick up possibly?
Well, there absolutely is. Look, Florida continues to increase its population base, which means you're seeing you're seeing more and more people from the Northeast coming down to Florida because of the climate, the tax climate, the weather, all of those things. Again, it's going to depend on the legislature. You've got Governor DeSantis, who's been very forward leaning on finding new congressional districts and a new map. That being said, yesterday changes everything. This Supreme Court decision cannot be overstated on how important it is for the future of elections. For the last 70 years, John, we have had congressional districts that have been based solely on the color of a person's skin and not on the content or the quality of the district or the equal representation. This ruling yesterday now dictates 6-3 that we no longer have to gerrymander districts to ensure that a certain demographic of the population is given the opportunity to serve in Congress.
You're an advisor to Governor Landry in Louisiana. What is is he having a special session immediately? What has been your advice to the governor?
Yeah, I wouldn't get in front of Governor Landry on this, but there is some public news out there that the governor is looking at this very closely. Look, my advice is the governor should look at all the options. Obviously, this ruling, I think, was somewhat unexpected, John, to be very honest with you. The makeup of the court has not been one that has traditionally favored Republicans, even though most have been appointed by Republican presidents. We've got some liberals on that court that haven't really done us very well. So this ruling yesterday, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. It's a win for the American people, in my opinion. And I think Governor Landry and his team right now are looking at what those realistic options are and what the cost is, the price tag to suspend the potential congressional elections that are scheduled to take place and redraw these maps immediately with the help of the legislature and then have some more equity in place.
So let's go over the states. Florida's done. So we've got Louisiana, right? Arkansas with Sarah Huckabee, Tennessee with Bill Lee. He's already chafing at the whole thing, whining about he doesn't want to bring his people back. They have to go to work or some nonsense. Marsha Blackburn, senator who's running for governor, blasted the whole thing and said they need to call the special session today. So we're fighting in Tennessee. Georgia, I don't know what Brian Kemp is going to do. I don't know why he wouldn't call a special session and he's got probably 2 seats there that would be gone, right?
Mhm.
2 of them. So you got that. You've got South Carolina McMaster, friend of yours also. And you go from there. Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves has already called it, I think, for Monday, I believe. He was the first one out of the box. You've also got a seat in Alabama. Mississippi's done. I'm not sure what I missed. Arkansas, you got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You got probably 30 seats. Mike got Governor Braun on in Indiana today at 9. He's going to call them back. I mean, we could pick 35 seats up here.
Well, John, listen, this is the difference, truly, between the Democrats taking over the midterms and taking over control of Congress and impeaching Donald Trump again, or having these Republican governors have some backbone, stand up, use the Supreme Court decision, which is now the rule of law, to go and change the districts. Look, is it hard work, John? Of course it is, but we hire these people to do hard work. And some of these governors, a number that you have already mentioned, are leaving office. They are term limited out. So there is no reason that they could not go and do this immediately and have a legacy behind them. This is a project, John, that has legacy implications for the generations to come. Not just 1 or 2 elections, but many, many elections down the road. And what you will see now is the opportunity, if drawn properly, to put everybody together and let the voters decide if they want a specific minority representation in Congress that's absolutely available to them, if they want somebody else that's available to them. But the Supreme Court has been made very clear. Just because of the color of your skin, no longer are you drawn a specific district.
I think this is what everybody's missing, right? Now, look, I mean, the other thing is you got AOC coming out and saying, well, we need to do the same thing. This is how stupid she is. They don't have any more seats available. They've already
Done it, John. They've
They've
already
already done
gerrymandered
it.
to the point where, listen, AOC is so myopic on this thing, doesn't understand it, that what she doesn't understand is, don't forget, that district she used to have used to be an African American district, but the population in New York has changed. They used to call it Black Harlem, John. That's not a pejorative, it's just what it used to be. And now it's become Spanish Harlem because the populations change all the time. And so most of those congressional districts in New York have benefited from the gerrymandering of ensuring that there is a minority district in that state. Well, if you look at the totality of New York and you look at the population base, if they just make the lines even, completely agnostic to where these individuals live, you're going to see a very different New York delegation coming.
I know there's nothing they can do about it. That's the thing. And then you're going to get Republicans that are going to be suing in states that have been gerrymandered, that the governor's not going to do anything. Obviously, they're going to try to protect the seats, but you're going to get Republican suits, and those seats are going to have to get redrawn. Constitutionally, they can't stand.
Well, that's right. And look, let's see what happens in Virginia. I know the voters of Virginia last Tuesday voted to change this. This changes everything once again. The problem is you've got Spanberg, who has no interest in going and fixing this. The people of Virginia really got a sham deal last week. I think that this has an opportunity to save the midterms, to increase the Republican majorities in the midterms, and move it so that Donald Trump continues to get his agenda through Congress, which has stymied, unfortunately, a lot of the things this president wants to do. Don't forget, John, we're in the longest shutdown in American history as it comes to DHS funding. The men and women of Secret Service, TSA, Coast Guard, CBP, ICE, U.S. Customs and Immigration Enforcement, and so many other entities still aren't being paid. Now, they have used what they call extreme measures to get some of these people paid, but that money is gone now. The money is gone, and you need to fund the government so that we can have safety and security in the homeland, because this is exactly the reason 9/11 happened, was that people weren't on their mission, on their job, and they weren't talking to each other.
Well, now that's all changed. I mean, we did pass the bill in the House yesterday. I think Victoria Sparks, as always, comes through at the end. That's kind of what she does. But Johnson got that passed. So now what happens? Because if you look at that bill, they fully funded everything with no guardrails, ICE, CPP, the whole thing. What happens now?
Well, what happens now is the Senate has to agree to it. I mean, the problem is, it's very hard, and John Thune continues to refuse to use the measures that are at his disposal to get the big bills passed, including the DHS funding bill, including the Save America Act, right? I mean, I know these guys get to the U.S. Senate and they want to die there. They leave in pine boxes because no one ever wants to leave the U.S. Senate because it's the only good job they've ever had in their life. But it's time to do what the American people want. We voted to put people in there who want to get DHS funded, get the Save America bill passed, okay, put election integrity back on the ballot. And this notion of the filibuster was never designed to prevent legislation from coming forward. And this notion that we've got to have 61 votes to get any piece of legislation passed is just completely nonsense. And let me tell you something, John, and I don't advocate this, but if the Democrats were to take back the U.S. Senate, you think for 1 second they would abide by the same rules that the Republicans have? The answer is absolutely not. Chuck Schumer will crush us like the little gnats that he thinks that we are. And they will say, hey, we're getting rid of the filibuster rule. It's now 50 votes or 51 for us, and we don't care what you do. And if you don't like it, take us to the ballot box in 2 years. By that time, we'll have impeached Donald Trump again. We'll have stopped the president's agenda, and we'll tie up this country with nonsense. That's exactly what's going to happen should we lose the House and the Senate.
That's exactly it. And everybody knows that. It wouldn't take them 90 minutes. Look, they already tried to do that. And the only two Democrats that stopped it were Joe Manchin from West Virginia and Kirsten Sinema, Arizona. And they're both gone. Fetterman voted to get rid of the filibuster. So they don't have anybody to stop them. They've already voted to get rid of it. How stupid do you have to be?
Hey, look, John, I'll take that as a rhetorical question because you know the answer. The answer is we're so friggin' weak as a Republican Party when it comes to getting our legislation done. I understand the notion that we've got a small majority, particularly in the House. And what Mike Johnson has been able to do has been yeoman's work. This guy has mastered getting things done in a very, very small majority, some of which those members are less than stellar, let's just say that, right? That aren't on his agenda and aren't on the president's agenda, some of those Republicans. I don't have to name them, but you know who they are. But then you go to the Senate. The Senate has really been our problem, and the Senate should have been the place where it has been driving the president's agenda, driving this. And what do we hear from Leader Thune? I'm going to get the Save America Act done. I'm going to get this done. I'm going to get this done. Well, here's where we are, John. We're now bumping up against the midterm elections. We've got a headwind at us. We've got gas prices that are high. We've got an ongoing conflict in the Middle East. We've got, some of these states that are really pushing back against the president's agenda. And now all of a sudden, John Thune can't get the legislative accomplishments done that he was supposed to, that he promised the president he would do. And so where's the accountability? The only thing people understand in the U.S. Senate is pain. So we need to continue to have the American citizens contact their legislators and make sure that they know what we want to get done. Mike Lee has done an amazing job of pushing this narrative forward, but he's, unfortunately, he's one of the few in the Senate. And there are some great people in the Senate, but there's also some real problems on the Republican side who just refuse to get this done.
How do we take, I mean, we've taken the party over at the roots for Republicans. What's the next step?
Well, John, unfortunately, the business of being a U.S. Senator is a massive financial business. Okay. You look at the money that they're spending in the state of Texas. They're over $100 million in that race. It's almost impossible to fathom the amount of financial resources it takes in some of these states to go and elect a U.S. Senator. And so we've got some real battles out there. We've got some real races. Places where we might be able to be more effective is Maine. Now, listen, do I agree with Susan Collins on every vote she makes? The answer is no. Do I agree with her on the first vote she makes, which is who is the leader of the U.S. Senate? The answer is yes, because the alternative is, even if we don't like Senator Collins or Senator Murkowski, they end up with a Democrat in that seat. Now, look, I think Mike Dunleavy would be a much better senator, personally, from the state of Alaska. But as Susan Collins' case is, she's probably the only Republican that can win there. And if her first vote is for the Republican majority leader, the alternative would be that Chuck Schumer is the leader, and that's absolutely devastating to the American people. So it's very hard at the macro level. At the micro level, John, the grassroots have done an amazing job of educating their senators. But what we have is we have sometimes not great alternatives. Because look, I'm a movement conservative, have been for 25 years. I think you know that, John. I don't think anyone
Yes.
questions where I stand on the issues of,
Yes.
mass deportations or immigration or closing our borders or getting bad guys out of here, right? I have been at the forefront of that, helping to achieve those results. But some of these squishes, some of these moderates really have done us a disservice in the U.S. Senate. And listen, I want more Mike Lees in the U.S. Senate and less Susan Collins or those types.
Well, the bottom line is, look, Susan Collins, every important vote in history, she's been there for us, every
Yep.
single one. And the votes where she voted no, it didn't matter because we weren't going to get there anyway, or we already had enough positive votes. But when her vote mattered, she's never abandoned us, not one time. She personally saved Justice Kavanaugh with that speech she made in the well, which
True.
I gave her a pass for that. That was one of the greatest speeches ever made. She's got the Parkinson's thing going on, but she's a tough lady, and I'm 100% behind her. Hey,
John, I love her. Let me just say this, though. You got a guy like Tom Tillis from a state. Look, Tom is leaving, and he can't get out fast enough. This
Right.
guy has stymied the president's agenda. We need Mike Watley in the U.S. Senate immediately. It's a battleground state that Donald Trump has won 3 times. But you got Tom Tillis, who has all the cover he would need to get the president's agenda done. And what does he do? He uses his position to potentially prevent good nominees from going through because he's a bad guy.
All right, couple of quick things. We got Andy Ogles coming up. Couple quick things. Give me a quick update on the Lewandowski football players. How they doing?
Oh, look, my kids are so happy, John, if you believe it. And I know we've been together a long, long time now. My daughter just finished her first year at college, which is incredible to think. So she's home. My boys play football every weekend. It's the greatest. Today happens to be my 15-year-old's birthday. So we'll have a birthday celebration for him. It's hard to believe, John. I mean, think about it, John. We've been doing this with President Trump, you and I, from the very beginning for over 11 years.
11 years.
That means, on this day 11 years ago, my son turned 4 years old. It's literally been his entire life. And I'm so proud of the fact that we were there at the very beginning. There's a lot of people who've come after us, John, a lot of people who've left the Trump movement who said they were part of it. But you and I have never wavered, and it's been a privilege to be here by your side doing this.
Well, and it's been mutual. And when I first went up there, your daughter was 6 years. She was 7 years old. Your
Yeah.
daughter now she's or 8, I think. Now she's finished her first year in college. Time just flies. But I know your boys love football, and you never miss a game. You're always there, so that's good. I'm doing a bus tour in New Hampshire. I got to get with you on that. We're also going to go to Maine for that one district for LePage. So that's coming up. I'll get with you on that. And then I've got my big election night event in DC coming up June 16th. I want to get you as a speaker there. So I'll shoot you a text on that. So be like old times.
That'd be great, John. Thanks for everything. Thanks for all you're doing. I will join you in New Hampshire. I will join you in Maine. And don't forget, we've got America 250 coming up. We've got some great things happening this summer that everyone can enjoy the value of this great country, the greatest country the world has ever known.
Corey Lewandowski, thank you. People want to follow you on social media, Corey. Where do they go?
Oh, then go right to X, John. That's where I get all the hate and some of the love. And so you can just see me, see Lewandowski _ a lot of hate, a little bit of love. And so I got broad shoulders, John. I love it.
Corey, we've been together doing this thing for 11 years. I mean, it's just hard to imagine all that time. And if people don't know, Corey Lewandowski, for the Trump for President campaign, before it even launched, turned the lights on. His office was in a floor that was unfinished. It was just plywood. I went to his office. It was plywood, and there was one of those construction lamps hanging down where you get the cord that has the cage on it.
It's true.
And he had a this is a true story. He had a chair, a desk, and a phone, plywood, and the light hanging down from the ceiling. That was his office. I mean, it's just hard to imagine where we've come from.
Donald Trump has changed the world, John, for the better. We have been a very small part of it, but it's been one heck of a roller coaster ride. And I'm so glad I've been on it with you.
All right, Corey. Thanks for being with us.
Take care.
Quick word from our sponsors. Up next, Congressman Andy Ogles. We got a lot going on. Keep it right here.
To Patriot Mobile, you shift your support away from the leftist, woke, progressive